Welcome to Money Sense, where we go beyond the numbers to help Canadians design a wealthier life. With host Brent Laux and trusted experts Kevin Hagedis and Andrew Roddick, partners at PWM Private Wealth Counsel and portfolio managers with Q Wealth. Whether you're preparing for retirement, designing tax-efficient income, or planning for future generations, financial decisions can be overwhelming. With a spotlight on pension-style investing strategies that prioritize long-term stability, Kevin, Andrew, and the PWM team will share their insights and perspectives to help you protect what you've worked a lifetime to build. Because effective financial planning should feel like laying a strong foundation. This is Money Sense.
Welcome to our Money Sense program. I'm Brent Laux, your host. We've got another very interesting program for our listeners, for our viewers today. I'm joined by Kevin Hagedis, portfolio manager with Q Wealth Partners, and of course, Kevin is the founder of PWM Private Wealth Counsel. And our very special guest is Trent Clarenbach. Trent is the founder of Clarenbach Research, which provides independent grain market analysis, including publishing the Clarenbach Grain Report and Klarenbach Special Crops Report. Trent, we'll start off just saying welcome to the program. First time for you to be joining us, and we really appreciate you giving us some time.
Yeah, well, this is great. I'm looking forward to the conversation, and I appreciate the opportunity to come and join your program.
Absolutely. And Kevin Hagedis, good to see you again, Kevin.
Yeah, hey, it's great to be here, Brent. And yeah, Trent, thank you very much for joining us today. And I think our listeners are going to find a lot of value in your discussion around farmland values, around market analysis as well. And Trent and I kind of met, I don't know, probably 5-6 years ago, and then we got reunited again about 6 months ago through a mutual friend. So we've been doing some work together, and yeah, a lot of our clients subscribe to his report, so it's great to have him on the show today.
How do his services fit in with what you do and your clients, Kevin?
Well, we've got a lot of farmers, obviously, as clients, so they rely on his reports to help make decisions on, I guess, what to put in the ground every year, how they can market their grain, and so on.
Interesting, Kevin. And we're very excited for PWM and your clients that you have this connection now, this work that you're doing along with Trent, as we welcome Trent Clarenbach to the show. And for those that don't know you, Trent, tell us a bit about your background. What's your 30-second elevator speech for Clarenbach Research?
Absolutely, Brent. I grew up and farmed in the Etonia area before exiting a successful environmental consulting company. I'm an independent grain market analyst. I published the Klarenbach Grain Report and Klarenbach Special Crops Report newsletters, providing independent grain market analysts to farmers and traders around the world. And I introduced a really unique and high-level technical analysis process, an analysis for special crops and cash crops like durum wheat, and introduced that basically to the world. So I find it quite interesting and very beneficial to farmers.
So what inspired you to start Clarenbach Research?
Well, in 2021, a number of my buddies who are farming shared stories of having to buy out deferred delivery contracts. And I concluded that either farmers were not getting good advice or they were not following it, or some combination of both. So after farming and trading commodities, I decided that there's a gap here to be filled, a need for unbiased, transparent analysis that cuts through the marketing noise. And my goal is just to help farmers make better decisions.
Trent, you and I have had, a few discussions around farmland values and grain marketing, and you often talk about, I guess, removing the guesswork from it is, I think, the phrase that you use. What does that mean for grain marketing these days?
Well, imagine being a farmer. Every day brings new news. One day the price is going up. The next day the price is going down. So what if I sell today and the price goes up? Or what if I don't sell and the price goes down? Selling grain just becomes an emotional guessing game. And as a result, farmers end up selling for cash flow and bin space. Neither of those decisions considers the market conditions at that time. I really want to help farmers ride the trend higher, delaying sales as long as possible, and avoid future downtrends and lower prices. Let our winners run, cut our winners short. And I use my technical analysis style to identify price levels where odds favor a turn, either a rally or a breakdown. It's really a game of possibilities and probabilities.
And Trent, my understanding is that you look at the data, but not only do you analyze prices, you dig into the psychology that's involved here. Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah, that's correct, Brett. So technical analysis studies the behavior of the market and the psychology of the market participants. So the price chart of every asset follows a similar pattern known as the 4 stages of market structure. And along each of these stages, we experience different emotions, and emotions drive our decision making. It's important to develop emotional granularity. We want to understand what emotions we are feeling, why we are feeling this way, and improve our emotional regulation. And with improved emotional regulation, we can have improved decision-making processes. And throughout these 4 stages, there's a variety and a series of different emotions experienced: disbelief, thrill, euphoria, complacency, denial, and anger. And these emotions are a great indicator of what stage we're at. So if we understand what we're feeling, we can develop a good understanding of where we are in the market, and we can certainly use that information about our own psychology to make better decision making in grain marketing.
Yeah, that's so true. And I talk a little bit about that in my meetings with clients about just our behavioral biases and how that, reflects our decision making when it comes to investing. And, we've got, as I mentioned earlier, we've got a lot of farming clients that read your reports and they find a lot of value in them. And I know you got both farmers and then farmland investors also that follow those reports. How would you say they would differ between those two groups and what they're actually looking for and what they need?
Well, they're both looking for a return. They both want to buy low, sell high, and farmers when to sell or when to hedge their grain. And it's part of the risk management tool. So I published that Saskatchewan Farmland study, and I've expanded that to a couple different provinces and states as well. And the investors and farmland investors are finding that extremely valuable because the farmland value chart is almost identical to every other asset that I've ever looked at. So when you start showing that on a chart, and the investors can make decisions whether to enter the market or exit the market, and they're finding it quite valuable.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that farmland value study that you did? Some of the other findings in there, Trent?
Well, our listeners know that farmland has been a great long-term asset. It's viewed as the store of wealth. However, when I created my inflation-adjusted value chart of Saskatchewan farmland in the corresponding study, identifies significant drops in value, which, depending on one's time frame, their business cycle, or their age, it can be financially devastating to some. We saw periods of 50 and 60% drop in farmland value that took periods from 33 to 46 years to recover. So if you were maybe our age and you bought farmland, maybe in 1981, it took 33 years for the price of farmland to get back to the same purchasing power. That's a long time. That's a generation and a half, maybe. And it can be financially devastating if you're 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 years old.
So what do you think is driving these prices that we're seeing? Is this all just the market, or is there a lot of emotion involved in this?
Well, the emotion is part of the market. So the emotion or the market is made up of two elements: the fundamentals and what we call animal spirits. And that's our emotions, our intuition, and that drives the market. So the fundamentals have been great in farming since about 2007, 2010. So, we find a relatively low supply of farmland. The farm profitability is unprecedented, I would argue. There's been low interest rates, and the stable rental returns certainly support the values. On the other side, we're emotional creatures. We're driven by fear and greed. We want more of what makes us feel good and less of what makes us feel bad. So rising farmland values, if you're a landowner or a farmer, really makes you feel good, and you really want to own more of it. And that drives demand. We're seeing a shift from emotion to math now. Buyers are running the numbers more critically. There's been a rapid increase in farmland values, and the lower interest or higher interest rates and lower grain prices is certainly impacting the profitability on the farms and the rents that they are able to pay.
Trent, in my business, obviously, I look at stock prices and I've looked at thousands of charts over the years and analyzing stocks. But you, I know you analyze farmland kind of similar to the way you would look at a stock chart. Is that right? And if it is, how does that work when you're looking at farmland the same way as you might look at analyzing Microsoft as an example?
Yeah, so to your point, Kevin, we both looked at charts. We find some sort of fascination and love looking at a price chart, looking at thousands and maybe, I don't know, maybe millions of charts, right? So I believe that all asset classes, all asset charts, all asset price charts behave in the same manner. They follow the same market structure. Does not matter what the asset is, whether it's Saskatchewan farmland, Iowa farmland, cryptocurrency, forex, bonds, commodities, Apple's, stock market. And why is that? Well, the one common participant in each of these markets is us. It's us humans. And the one thing that never changes is our behavior. So it stands to reason that the Saskatchewan farmland chart looks very similar and behaves in the same manner as a stock market. So I apply the same techniques. And I was shocked how technical the Saskatchewan farmland chart is. It was really quite amazing. But I mean, the one consistent is our human behavior. It has not changed in millennia.
Looking at the farm side of financials for retirement planning is what Kevin is all about, succession planning, and Trent talking a lot about farmland study that he's been doing, farmland prices. So who would you say primarily uses that study, Trent?
Well, the primary market demographic is farmers. So I have farmer subscribers throughout Western Canada, Eastern Canada, United States. I have some from around the world. But it's been really well received by sophisticated investors and lenders and advisors who have experience with technical analysis and understand and appreciate the effectiveness of it and how it can benefit decision-making process.
I need you to dust off your crystal ball here then. We'll take a look ahead and what's Trent's outlook for grain and farmland markets heading into 2026, I guess already. Gosh.
Yeah, I've been in bearish grain prices for a couple of years now, and that longer term downtrend remains intact. So we have to assume that downtrend is going to continue. I am seeing maybe some signs, and maybe it's simply just hope. We call it hopium in the industry, that we could see a rally into next spring. For Saskatchewan farmland, these values that are at a level of caution for me. It's what I call a level of interest. There's some red or orange, yellow caution flags being raised, and it's an area where I want to be extra cautious about making additional investments in the farmland and sales. I want to give us a bit more time to understand where it's going. The chart does leave some room for another 20% increase in farmland values, but we want to really monitor this farmland values and maybe look in other jurisdictions. Iowa, for example, has already started declining. They're typically 2 years ahead of Saskatchewan. So these farmland declines can happen drastic and happen quickly. They can happen quickly and be very drastic in their movement. We want to monitor those values and try to get ahead of it and avoid some significant drops in value.
Is it a lot like selling a house? Everybody, I think, in the world of real estate thinks, oh, well, the housing market is hot. Say in Saskatoon, I won't have any trouble selling my house. But we do hear of people having trouble selling their house. Is that similar to farmland values? Just to lump them all together to say farmland values are really hot these days? Or does it depend on the location of that farmland?
Well, the better farmland will draw more demand and higher values for sure. And there's, I think when prices start to drop, you'll see the lower quality pieces of land, the land that's further from market, the land with more environmental challenges, they'll drop in values quicker and demand will go down there. It's location, location, location.
Yeah, I was just going to say what I've seen just in the last, I would say 24 months. I've built obviously thousands of financial plans over the years for people. And I would say most of the time when I did a financial plan and a retirement plan for a farmer, it was a couple of options. We're going to retire, sell the equipment, rent the land out, or it was going to get passed on to the next generation. Just in the last 24 months, I've seen a significant uptick in a third version of that plan, and that's actually selling the land. So that's something that I've noticed. So I'm seeing that trend in my business. So I think that's kind of the trend that it's starting to appear. Maybe the land isn't being sold at the same rate, but I think it's something that people should be aware of anyway.
And Trent, for those listening or watching in today, be they farmers, investors, advisors, how can they get a look at this data that you put together, your reports?
Well, they can visit my website, clarenbach.ca. They can subscribe to my newsletters, the Klarenbach Special Crops Report and the Klarenbach Grain Report, to receive a copy of the Saskatchewan Farmland Value Study. I'm all over social media, on X, Facebook, LinkedIn. I also produce the Trent Klarenbach podcast, of which Kevin was a recent guest. So you want to check that out. That's a really great episode.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you joining us on our Money Sense program. You've been listening and watching Money Sense with PWM Private Wealth Council, where wealth meets meaning. Kevin, before we close off, I know PWM is putting together a series of seminar coming up very quickly that tie directly into what we've been talking about on the show. Tell us a bit more about these events.
Yeah, they're going to be coming up next week, actually, and going to cover a lot of topics, how to understand farmland values, trends, and risks, what to consider before selling or leasing or transitioning that farmland, why a clear financial plan really matters for securing farm legacy, and also for living a fulfilling life. And then we're going to also be discussing how to invest your wealth, and we're going to talk about building a personal pension plan approach with some of those hard-earned dollars. And you're going to hear from myself, my business partner, Andrew Rodick, Ron Brown from MMP is going to be there, and Tim Hammond from Hammond Realty as well. And we've got a few different dates. Next week, November 5th, we'll be in Unity, on the 6th in Rosetown. Both of those are evening events starting at 7 o'clock. Friday, November 7th, we're going to be in Melfort. That's a 4 o'clock event, 4 p.m. And then Saturday morning, right here in Saskatoon, November 8th. So going to be a great lineup of speakers, a lot of information for everyone. If you want to attend, seats are limited, so give the office a call at 975-9500, or you can register at our website, which is pwmprivatewealth.com.
Well, Kevin, as usual, it's been a pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you, Trent Klarenbach, as well, for joining us today and sharing your insights. And Kevin, if clients are interested in learning more or connecting with you prior to the seminars, what's your contact info?
Yeah, again, pwmprivatewealth.com, or you can call or text. A lot of people are texting these days. You can text the office as well at 306-975-9500. And if you want to book a complimentary review with myself or one of the members of my team, more than happy to do that. And I also want to mention Trent will be at the Saskatoon event. So if you want to pull him aside there and ask him some questions, he will be there next Saturday.
All right. Thanks for your time, Kevin, and Trent Klarenbach. Thanks so much for your time, and look forward to seeing you at the Saturday event in Saskatoon with Kevin and crew.
Thank you for joining us for Money Sense, where we explore meaningful conversations about money, life, and the choices that shape them both. At PWM Private Wealth Council, they're here to help you build a life as solid as the financial plan they've built for you, and most importantly, give you the confidence to know you're going to be okay. Financial planning services are offered through PWM Private Wealth Council. Portfolio management services are provided by Q Wealth, a registered portfolio manager, investment fund manager, and exempt market dealer. PWM Private Wealth Council is an owner and partner in the Q Wealth Partnership, where money meets meaning.